Can I ask one more question? Because I
Yeah,
think
go ahead.
it's a question I wanted to ask, but this is a good segue. So you
Perfect. Go for it.
mentioned you get 100% of the benefit by staying under, but none of it by going over. And I know you've said that in other videos too for threshold or tempo training. Do you feel that way about the easy runs? Like, and to be more precise about my question is, and I've heard the term or the phrase, you can only push your threshold up from below, but not pull it up from above. Does that apply to the LT1 or Zone 2 ceiling as well?
I wouldn't know the exact physiology. Like I couldn't give you a physiology class answer on that. I would say the argument that you can't pull your LT2 up is incorrect. I think you absolutely can, but it has to be supported properly by the appropriate bit. So if you've seen like my marathon hierarchy video, you can apply that without the marathon. So you just take out marathon pace essentially. But if you run the appropriate easy volume and then you do the appropriate tempo work and then you do the appropriate interval work, that's how you hit peak performance. It would be impossible for me to think that, well, you could stress test this, I suppose. If it was only possible to push up your LT2 and not pull it up, then everybody would go and run like 200 miles a week super slow. Nobody would do workouts.
I see.
You know what I mean? Like if that was the only way to bump LT2 is to accumulate as much work below it as possible, nobody would do workouts because it fatigues you. It's an inability to recover from. You're slower to recover, and then you can't do as much mileage, right? So I would look at that. I can't tell you the physiological answer for that, but nobody does that. So you have to be able to pull LT2 up by doing like faster than LT2 work, like 5K pace, I pace, rep pace, mile pace, sprinting, etc.
I see. So I guess the kind of context for my question is like when I do easy runs, I'm running like stupidly slow. And I think the other element to that is like I know you said to just run by time but not mileage. But when I was prescribing myself to mileage, it was like, okay, if I want to increase my mileage because I'm running so slow, it's just taking me such a long time to knock out my easy runs. But so the question really is, can I just still run a little bit above what is actual LT1 as long as I'm not introducing injury risk and as long as I can recover from it? Is it still gonna help me pull up my LT1 over the course of training block? Is kind of the question.
I see what you're saying. So to pull that and make it like an example, I would say if that was possible and super effective, you would see all the pros just run at like 5-minute miles, like pretty close to marathon pace, but not really marathon pace. Do you see what I mean?
Okay.
So I would say broadly no. Like the tricky part is like you're such a beginner, and I don't mean that in a negative slant, right? That those
totally
the LT1s in those zones are really, really close, right? So they're a little bit more compressed. So like I can make the argument in a high performer because they're much further apart. Like Knobs runs 8-minute miles on his easy days, but runs at 4:54s, right? And so it's like 3 minutes apart. There's a bigger gap in between those two, right? That's probably not his LT1, but that's the way he runs his easy days, right? But for newer people, they're much more compressed. So I wouldn't get overly lost in what that is. I would say if you're able to hit your workouts, you're not getting injured, and you're able to stay consistent, you're probably doing it okay.
Okay. I don't have to be super slow and be like super strict about staying below a certain pace.
No, like there's going to be days like after your workouts where you're naturally going to be slower. Totally cool. And then there's going to be days on the easy days, like, where you haven't had a workout on the preceding day, like the Mondays as an example in your cycle, right? Where you might feel a little faster. That's okay. Like they don't all have to be exact, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Cool.
Yep.
Sweet. Good questions, man. I love it. Literally the best part because you forced me to think and actually articulate it way better than I could trying to talk about one topic. So love it. So